Yeah, you met everyone here? Yeah? Yeah. The only one you can't trust is me. All right, it's 1:30, I believe. We're going to start today's, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to call to order today's Zoning Board of Adjustments. And it is May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo. And it is 1:30. And we'll get started. We have a quorum, it looks like. 7. Wow, right? Seven members. And let's see, I've already called it to order, and we go to item number 2, public comment. Oh, you want me to read that? Should I read it? Oh, come on. Issues or concerns not on the regular agenda may be raised by the public at this time. Citizens should speak from the podium, address comments to the dais, begin by stating their name and address or single-member district, comma, and limit all remarks to less than 3 minutes, period.
We had no one for this section.
All right, didn't think so. All right, item number 3, review and take action related to minute records of the regular meeting held Monday, April 7th, 2025. Everybody looked over minutes, any questions?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, motion to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0. Okay, item number 4, ZBA 25-05 SAISD fencing. A request for approval of a zoning variance to allow fencing taller than 4 feet along property lines at 6 SAISD locations, 323 Penrose Street, Glenmore Elementary, 2302 Bradford Elementary, 120 East 39th Street, Goliad Elementary, 2104 Johnson Avenue, Crockett Elementary, 201 Millspaw Street, McGill Elementary, and 655 Caddo and adjacent properties, Central High School.
Thank you. Austin Reed, planner.
Hello, Austin.
As you mentioned, this is a request for 6 total properties, Glenmore, Bradford, Goliad, Crockett, and McGill Elementary Schools, and Central High School as well. There's a variety of zoning districts across these properties, including RS1, RM2, and CGCH. And what we have is a request to allow fencing taller than 4 feet along property lines, whereas normally the maximum height allowed is 4 feet. So we did send out 240 notices on this, which is quite a few. We received 4 or 5 in favor, none opposed. People generally seem to think that it was a good idea. On to our staff analysis. So this fencing is coming as a result of some state requirements from a couple years back on school security. However, this fencing does require a variance in some spots under our zoning ordinance. We think that there are special circumstances and that schools are unique properties affected in unique ways, and that literal interpretation would be contrary to direction given at the state level. Ultimately, we think granting of a variance is in the public interest as it promotes public health and safety, and all the necessary criteria for granting a variance have been met. So here we have a look at some of their site or concept plans. There may be some fencing there already today, but I think some of it's being improved or replaced. And there's Bradford Elementary and Goliad Elementary. Here we have Glenmore and Central. I think there may also be some fencing in this area as well that's not shown yet. It's worth mentioning that they will still be required to maintain the 30-foot site triangle for visual clearance on corners of intersections like that there. With that, we are recommending approval of the variance for the 6 properties. Staff are working on an amendment to the zoning ordinance that would make an exception for schools, so that way they don't have to come back to this board in the future. But for now, we have to move forward with the variance. Do you guys have any questions?
So are these fences going to be similar to the one at McGill right now, the new fence?
I'm not aware of that one. I think they're going to be anywhere from 8 to 12 feet in height.
Those are at least 8 or 10.
Yes.
They're a black chain link fence.
Like at Santa Rita.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Okay.
just more of the height.
Is that what they are around
I'm
Central?
not 100% sure on that. I think we do have a representative if
Santa
you want to
Rita's
answer
10
that
foot.
question. But
Okay.
So currently, like at Goliad, the limit is 4 feet, yes?
4 feet within the required front yard setback of 25 feet, so yes.
Okay, so my question is, what's the front yard of a school? There were a couple, like McGill wasn't listed in the information that I'd gotten, like the overview, the shot. That wasn't listed. And there was one other one. I want to say Crockett, but I didn't see the Crockett one in here either. But my question, I went by Goliad. The theory is they're 4 foot, right? I'm not 4 feet tall. Their fences are taller than I am or as tall as I am.
No, the theory is that the variance actually right now accepts it can be 4 feet, so they're asking for a variance for it to be higher than 4 feet.
Right, I'm saying they're already higher than 4 feet.
Right, some of them are 6 feet, some
Right.
of them are 8 feet, so they need to go up to 10 to even higher. So we
Right.
have to accept that,
So
or
did
present
the
the
school
variance.
district ask for just these?
Yes, so we were in conversations with them. We asked them to choose the ones that they would like to move forward with on permits as soon as possible.
First. Okay.
Yes, because we are working on that bigger change to the ordinance to make an exception specifically for both public and private schools for fencing. So this is pretty much their first 6 that they want to move forward with permits on. And I'm not sure about the existing fencing that's there today. I can't speak too much as to how that came about or when it came about.
Austin, don't we have a few more, in bunches that are gonna be coming? We're doing these in sections, right?
Hopefully, this is the only hearing that will be for these fences. I'm thinking we'll get the change passed through within the next couple months before we require a second round of these.
Okay.
How tall will it be?
How tall will they be? I think anywhere from 8 to 12 feet.
Not gonna put a maximum height on there at all? It's kind of open-ended, isn't it? Go up to 20 if they want to.
Well, it's in the SAISD proposed bond already, so it's just basically clearing the variance for the city part of it. But I think the bond that just passed was actually 10 to 12 feet,
10 to
depending on the
The
school.
state law is 10 feet, correct?
I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay, that would have been good to know.
If it makes you more comfortable, I think you do have the ability to place a limit on the height.
Just asking.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any more questions? All right. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Reed. Anyone here from the school district? Or you're not from here?
What's that?
You must be from Austin.
My
Hey,
name's Jason
Hey, I can
Henry.
almost match you.
That's right, I remember you from the last time, 2 good-looking guys with long hair. My name's Jason Henry, I'm the purchasing director with SAISD. I'm going to be overseeing these projects for fencing. Our intention is to raise all the fences to 8 feet. Is where-
18 feet?
8.
Oh, I was like,
8
that's a
feet.
really tall
Yeah.
fence.
But they'll let you go taller, it sounds like, so.
Right. Good deal, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh,
Oh, sorry.
take my scratch paper. All right. Any discussion by the board?
We do have one more for public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have what?
One more public comment.
On this? Okay. Let me open it up for public comment. Not
So we have
for-
a David T. Blake.
Come on up, David.
If you'll come to the podium and state your name, please.
My name's David Blake, and I live right across the street from Bradford School. And I live right where the buildings end and the playground starts. And then that encompasses about maybe 2 more houses down, and that's the area where the kids play. Then the rest of it's a huge field. Right there in front of my house, I've had people cut through my yard, go across the street into the school when it wasn't open, and hop the fence and go on through the buildings, and I'm assuming go out the other side. And I mean, I stopped the guy and told him I didn't ever wanted to see him come through my yard again. And I haven't. I worry about more somebody driving by and shooting at the kids. I'm ex-military, and those sort of things have always been in my mind. And I was wondering if they're gonna put some kind of slatting in those fences so you can't see through them. If you can't see them, you can still shoot through the fence, but you're not gonna be able to aim. And I sit there and watch the kids play, and I shag the balls when they kick them over the fence, because it's really too low. And I kind of worry about that. And it's especially, it came on my mind is like, okay, if this happens here, what am I going to do? And it's like, I looked and it's like, really isn't virtually nothing I can do. Even if I was armed, you couldn't do anything because of the way it's set up in there. Those kids need to be farther away somewhere else, because it's right next to the street.
Dangerous world we live in, isn't it?
Say what?
A dangerous world we live in.
Yeah, I'm
For
not,
sure.
I'm 72 years old, and I never seen the like of the things that are going on in this world right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. I
Well,
don't
Dave-
know. Go ahead.
No. Well, David, I thank you for your service and your comments. Unfortunately, this board doesn't rule on the style, and we don't take stylistic license in designing the fence, so.
No, but, you do have input with the people that do, somebody does.
But you do as well. I would encourage a SAISD
And it's
meeting.
like, well, it's like, you can talk to them and see what they gotta say. They might say that needs to be done. But if they don't, you might ought to bring it up.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any more public comment? There being none, I'll
No.
close public comment. You, school, want to,
Did you want to respond?
thank you.
You're back up.
At this time, we just plan on doing 8-foot tall chain link fence with no slats in it,
With slats in them?
without.
Without, okay.
Thank you.
Now,
Eight. Making my notes. Forgot my other piece of paper.
okay,
Next.
public comments closed. We have the comment back. I'm gonna talk to the board. Board, have any questions? Or ask for board commentary? There being none.
I will make a motion to approve the city's.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to approve in a second. We'll go to the vote unless there's more discussion needed.
No, sir.
There being none, go for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is item number 5, ZBA 25-06, 3642 Old Post Circle. A request for approval of a zoning variance from the zoning ordinance, section 501.A for a 10-foot front setback in lieu of the required 25 feet. Sounds like a carport. Go ahead.
It
Hello.
is. Hi, Ray Lineberry, planner. Standing in for Kim. She is out today. And her case is at 3642 Old Post Circle. It is in the Sunset neighborhood, the District 6 Larry Miller, and it is RS1 zoning. And the vision plan is neighborhood. It is .181 acres, and it is a request for a 10-foot setback in lieu of the required 25-foot setback in the front of the house for a carport. We did mail out 34 notices. We received 4 in favor, 0 opposed. So kind of give you a timeline, in 1999, the previous owner applied for a variance to allow a carport, and it was denied. In 2003, that is what staff has found out, looks like is when the structure was built. And then 2021 is when the current owner purchased the house. And then we received notice of a complaint about a carport being there, and so they were sent a notice of violation. So during the analysis, staff looked, and staff could not identify any special circumstances. The lot is a standard shape. It's actually a little bit bigger. It is not located or near the open structure overlay zone. There really aren't any other carports in the surrounding area, so granting the variance would be inconsistent with the purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance, as it would confer a special privilege to this homeowner. And these are pictures of the carport. It is actually further back from the street, however, from the property line, it is 10 foot back. So they would be within the 25-foot building area. So with that, staff is recommending denial. And with that, is there any questions?
When was the variance, turned down in 99, did you
Yes,
say?
1999.
So it's been up since 99? Why wasn't
It's
any,
been up since 2003.
2003? Okay. Why wasn't any enforcement done before then?
As the city is complaint-based for,
So it went up in
Violations.
2003 from more than 2 previous owners before, and 20 years later, someone complains, and that's what we're looking at.
and we found out that they didn't even have a building permit for it. So,
The original people who put it up, not the
correct,
current
there
owners.
was no building permit at all for it.
The person that complained, are they complaining because they couldn't get a permit for a carport? What started all this?
I don't know. That is a very good question.
know,
I'm not sure on that
I
one.
just don't see how something that's been up there that long, and now y'all want to enforce the law on it, when it's been up so many years.
Well, and I was looking at section 513, carports and required yards. Existing carports can be exempted if they're grandfathered in. If it was completed before March 8th of 95, if it does not encroach on the public right-of-way,
Correct?
right? Set back a minimum of 5 feet from the curb, structurally sound, substantially open, clear of junk, household trash, yard trash, debris, as an accessory to the principal building. So there's 7 criteria
Correct.
that would allow it to be grandfathered.
But it doesn't meet the
This matches
1995.
6 of the 7, correct?
Correct.
The only thing is the person who put it up
Well-
didn't violate the law early enough to grandfather it in. Is that correct?
How, I will question you on one of those. We are not sure if it's structurally sound because they didn't get a building permit. So building has not been out there to inspect it.
Okay.
It looks like a prefab going to me from a.
Yeah. I mean, I drove by and looked at it, it didn't seem right. And one of the comments in the packet I got was, there are no other carports in that neighborhood. One of the notifications you guys mailed out went to a house with a carport in the front yard. Because I drove right by it.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what got missed or how that got missed. And I'll admit, I didn't drive through the entire neighborhood. I went by and looked at this one. I missed a turn and wound up on the street that ran parallel. And that's why I was like, that doesn't look like the picture in my packet. And I turned around and went around, and then city water was digging in the street. And so anyway, I felt like I needed a piece of cheese.
Yeah.
When I got done, I was the rat in the maze. But there was another carport that literally got one of the notifications for this. So that was my question is, how did this get drawn to y'all's attention? Somebody filed a complaint?
Yes,
And
correct.
I'm new, so I'm illustrating my ignorance here. I apologize ahead of time.
You're doing a good
I'm
job.
learning as I go.
You're doing a fine job.
So,
Go ahead.
one of two, I'm not sure that I can answer it how
Okay.
it happened, but there are one of two ways.
Okay.
One is somebody calls code compliance and says, hey, I don't think this is right, and code goes and checks on it.
Right.
The other way is correct. Somebody came in for a permit, we told them they couldn't have it, so then they told on all their neighbors that have
On
one.
somebody else, okay.
I'm not sure which one this falls under. This was not my case, and it was
Okay,
not in the
okay.
report.
Well, I was just curious as to how it, because I was like, I looked at the coding and looked at this and went, well, other than the date, you know, if he'd have just ignored the law sooner, nobody would be having any problems. But that was my question, is like, I didn't know if somebody noticed it and code compliance just drove around periodically looking for problems, or if it was a complaint filed by someone.
It was a complaint filed by
Okay,
somebody.
okay. Sorry.
No problem.
No,
Fine.
you're good.
You're fine. Excellent, excellent. Any more questions? For Ray?
Okay.
Thank you, Ray. All right. We need public comment on this. So step on up and state your name
We have an
for the
Ed.
record. Welcome.
Folks, I'm Ed Seward.
Go ahead.
Welcome, everybody, listen, I was asked by the Costanuelos, they're the property owners, to stand in for them. They had a family emergency yesterday. They have a family member in ICU in Lubbock. They left this morning. That's That's why I'm stepping up, all right? My wife and I live at 3645 Old Post Circle since 1998, all right? Our memory is that this has been up from the original owner, was installed, erected in 99. I'll just put that out there. I will read verbatim a statement from the Castanuelas. Mary, it's Samuel and Mary. It's 3642 Old Post Circle. Due to conflict of plans, we were unable to be here, but personally ask that you please consider allowing us to keep our carport. Appraisal office shows this structure to have been built in 2003. We purchased this property 4 years ago. It never occurred to us that the carport had been put up illegally. We did ask several neighbors why we were the only property with a carport, and all answered the previous owner had been permitted to build years prior. It seems unlikely that this carport had not been tagged in all those years. Several of our neighbors have stated that they wish they had a carport as well due to the size of newer vehicles and that they would not fit their garage. We do not have a garage as it is enclosed by the previous owner. Removing the carport would leave our vehicles with no protection. We have spoken to several in the neighborhood and none oppose us having the carport. It does not obstruct view. One neighbor stated he has lived since '99 and remembers that this carport was already up. Being senior citizens, it's difficult for us to finance unexpected expense to hire someone to remove the structure. I understand that as a zoning and planning board, you are considering making rules and regulations in allowance of property owners for carports. If this is the case, please allow us to keep this carport and instead only to have it removed and then having one put up, and in if we may or may not be able to afford it. Thank you, Samuel and Mary Castanuela.
Very good. Are you a neighbor?
I am. We live directly across the street.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be a statute of limitations on some of this, wouldn't there?
That is the biggest question of note with my wife and I. And we knew the previous owner. They lived there. I mean, they lived there as long as we've been occupants and well before that. Both my kids grew up with their grandchildren, so there you go.
So it's
Probably with,
I'm sorry.
you can count on 4 fingers the number of people on our block that have been there as long as we have. The neighborhood is pretty rapid turnover. So these are good folks. All I will say about this is, there's the obvious question of why. As I say, we've been there since '98. I think that structure's been there within a year of the time we moved in. So my question is going to be, how is it that this was allowed to freestand this long without somebody saying something? You can jump to this gentleman's commentary. You can go to Old Post Court, and there is another freestanding carport. This is semi-permanent. It is countersunk and anchored to the extended drive. And I remember when they poured the concrete on it. So I'm not sure what you consider permanent, but it is anchored down and it is solid in concrete. So.
And it's withstood the test of time. Withstood the test of time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
You don't
folks.
have any
Appreciate
questions?
you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. State your name, please, for the
Live in
record.
Twyla.
Glenn and Twyla Huffman. We live at Old Post Circle 3637. We've lived there since '94, 30 years. And I have a petition that me and Mary took around. Every neighbor we could find happily signed it, happily. We don't understand why this has happened. They should have been done something a long time ago. It's not fair, it's not right. If we're not complaining, and the people that called in were only wanting put one up, not to complain about it. I talked to that young man. He did that 3 months ago. He wasn't calling to complain about it. He wanted one. And so he called in. They said, no, we're sorry. 10 years ago, we put one up. Mr. Scott had one. Why can't we have one? We put one up. Got tagged right like that. I called in. I said, why does he have one? And they told me, and they've told 4 or 5 other neighbors that he was grandfathered in and that he could have his. It's exactly what they told us, grandfathered. Well, when we went to the permit meeting, they said, oh, no, we don't do grandfather. But that's what they told 4 or 5 of us, that it was grandfathered in. So to make them take it down is just an atrocity. It's just not right to do that to them. They would have never bought the house had they known that he was going to have to take that down. And so, anyway, I'd like for y'all to see this because we
thank you.
went around and get everybody to sign. They happily signed it.
Yes, thank you.
I really wish you would please, if there's
Everybody should
any
have
way-
neighbors like y'all.
if there's any way. It was about 10 years ago.
It was in 214.
Yeah.
Is it everybody?
We put it up.
Well, we took it down.
Yeah, we took it down.
Right.
In
City
fact,
asked us.
the lady at the permit department said, I'm gonna tell you something, that contractor knew better. He didn't come get a permit, and he put it up, and if he doesn't give you your money back, you let me know, and we'll handle it from there. So I called him back, and I told him what the lady said. He said, okay, yeah, we'll do that. I said, let me tell you something, are you listening to me? I said, nobody's taking my carport down until I have my money back in my hand. I said, you should have known better. He said, okay, yes, ma'am, I will. So I got my money back. But, you know, that's 10 years ago. Why didn't at that point in time, when they say,
Well, the city knew that was going on, and they didn't do anything to that carport at all. In fact, they said it was legitimate.
and the one on Old Post, we're the Circle in Court, they've got a big nice carport up. I don't know what
Yeah,
that's about.
I think that was the one I saw.
That's the
Yeah,
one he
that's the
saw.
one.
So if you're gonna do one thing, you know, I mean, it's just not fair.
But it's built on the side of the house.
Right, it's on the side of the
Yeah.
carport, not, or side of the driveway, not on
That
top
wouldn't
of
bother me at all.
No,
I wouldn't be
none of it
bothered.
bothers us, but, you know, we're just saying, I just wish y'all would please consider, don't we?
Yeah, that's a long time.
That's
for that to be
$500
up.
a day fine for them every day it stays up,
That's-
after they determine they can't have it. And they're an old retired couple, you know,
26
like the rest of
years.
us.
And you had said something earlier about the reasoning why why the garage was enclosed?
Okay, the reason that Mr. Scott and them did that was because they had an invalid mother, and they took the garage in and made a whole room for her, a hospital bed and everything. So then they wanted that put up, so they put that up. So I don't get this where he didn't have, I understood it wasn't even a thing back then when he did it. He didn't even have to have a permit, so I understood, but in 1990, we were there in 94, and he did that in 99. I don't even think they had to have a permit back then. But anyway, just please consider what would be fair, and that none of us are complaining. If we were all complaining, yeah, I could see that, but none of us are. That petition, that we don't want to taking it down. So anyway, just please consider that, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Were y'all going to questions? Bring them back up. Just-
Our packet showed that it was built in 2003, and they were all saying it was built in 99. Do you know where the 2003 came from?
Came
I
from
think
the
it's on the
tax
tax
rolls.
office that way.
So sometimes the tax rolls won't catch something at a certain time, and a addition or anything like that, and a lot of it, you'll notice
Well,
the
I didn't know
tax
if it was
rolls will have a
tax rolls or
certain.
It was the denied building permit? Or?
No.
So, like what we have, the timeline we have is in 99, they came in front of ZBA. ZBA denied them. And then sometime between 99 and 2003, when the tax appraisal office did their appraisal and found it,
So they applied for a permit, got denied, came here, got denied, built it anyway.
correct.
That's the argument.
But it easily could have been built in 99, and the tax office does not consider it something that's permanent.
Okay.
So they could have looked at it like it's a tent or anything like that, because if the concrete was already there, or driveway, then it just could be covering it. So until they actually caught up, then they would have updated their records. So that's probably where the discrepancy could be on when it was actually built and when they finally got taxed on it.
Thank you.
I thought at one time there was I don't know if it was a clause or what it was, if it wasn't permanent, that it's, like that one's bolted down, that it can be moved, that they were accepted that way. I don't know. I don't know. I had heard something.
Probably from a tax appraisal office, I'm not sure on, probably not on encroachment over the 25-foot building line, but I'm not sure on that 100%.
And when you're saying it needs to go from their property line, what, 10 foot back, 25 foot back? And
Which is almost the house.
their property line starts where? At the curb? At where
Because
the
there's an
slope
easement where the
stops?
sidewalk would be.
Probably, that one looks like it might be 10 foot behind the curb to me, where the utilities are.
So like maybe behind the mailbox? Oh, where'd it go?
So they're needing 10 more feet.
10 more
I
feet.
don't know
They're
what
probably,
old
they're
folks
within the
nowadays are
15
about 5
feet,
feet.
so they need 10 more feet. That's why they're asking for a 10-foot setback.
Variance. So if they chop 10 foot off that carport, that'd be okay, right?
Well, maybe.
It won't stand.
It won't stay because there's no balance, I mean,
Did y'all go measure that?
We had a building inspector go out there and measure.
Because I'm like, where, if they removed a portion of that, where would they be in compliance? One section off, two sections off? Everything but.
they wouldn't be in compliance because it's freestanding. They would never be in compliance because it's freestanding. And that's
Well,
what,
they could build it if they were 25 feet from the property line.
No.
If they
no,
are
they
25
can't.
feet from the property line, you can build a carport.
You could build it. So, where's 25 feet from the property line?
like
Way
5
back almost
feet,
at the house, basically?
Where the house is more.
pretty
Yeah,
much where the
I'd
house
say
is.
most-
Front of the house. They don't have a garage.
It might be a few feet in front of the house, is
So there's
probably.
basically no way that that could be in compliance?
Correct.
And be 25 feet from the property line?
Unless we approve it as a board.
Unless we were to approve it, then yes, it's right.
Yeah,
But even if they were to take that down and try to tie into that roof line, you still would have to get a variance to come off that many feet
Right.
to make it a usable carport.
Yeah.
Well, in a moment of levity, I have great neighbors, but I don't know if many that'll come and defend me like these folks did.
No,
I think-
that's true.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
Is a hell.
I will voice that I generally, I understand code compliance.
Yes.
I understand rules and regulations and things like that. At the same time, and I'm sure y'all already know how I feel, is this structure has been there quite some time. And for it to have been sitting there this long and there be no issues and there's no complaints, I know Brandon's probably gonna argue with me, but
No, he's pretty quiet so far.
I know, I'm surprised, I'm surprised.
Looking up statute.
Make your motion.
But if everyone's done with comments, I would like to make a motion to approve,
the
yeah, I have to make sure I make the verbiage correctly. Approve the 10-foot variance.
Second.
We don't have a garage.
So I did want to clarify before the board votes that you guys are approving the setbacks. You are not approving that it's allowed. It still would have to get a building permit and meet building code.
So
So
based
hold on,
on,
let me reword that.
so based on what I read, the only issue would be whether it's structurally sound, right?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
I said, based on what I pulled off, existing carports, it would be exempted if it does not encroach on the public right of way, we're good there. It has a setback minimum of 5 feet from the property line, which it clearly does. Structurally sound, that's open to inspection, correct? Right?
Correct.
The building inspector has to go look at it. It's open, clearly, it's open. It's clear junk. I have more stuff in my driveway than they do, and that's just what fell out of the back of the truck. And it's an accessory to a principal building, so everything matches except for whether or not it's structurally sound. And they would have to go, they'd get a building permit, they'd get inspected, and they'd say, yes, it's not gonna collapse and kill anybody. and they'd be good to go if we granted the variance.
If this motion passes that is on the floor right now, yes. However, I just wanted to make sure you guys understood that it does still have to go through the building permit process.
So do I need to remove?
Which consists of what?
So I'm going to remove my motion so that I can,
Amend your motion.
yes, I'm going to amend it.
We had a motion, did you?
That's what I said, that's why I said I'm
Did we
removing
motion?
it before anyone
Oh, I'm
second.
sorry, I already
Yes.
made up my mind what I was gonna do. Hold on a
I
second.
want to make
here,
sure I
folks.
get the we get the verbiage right.
Yeah, first and foremost, I'm gonna let you say the motion again. You're gonna amend it?
She's going to amend it.
Okay.
thinking.
First and foremost, for the audience here, staff and the people here, they're doing their job. They are reading the letter of the law. They don't have a lot of wiggle room on these kind of things to, keep y'all from, or folks from having to come in front of us and talk like this. And a lot of them weren't even born when this thing was. So just remind yourself of that. These folks right here, they're good people and they're doing their job. And it's up to us, 4 old dinosaurs plus 3 younger ones, to work through this. And, but anyway, I just want to say that. And Brandon, I'm serious about the statute of limitations on some of this stuff. If someone would send a note to the 4th floor, that needs to be considered. This is wide open forever. The only other thing that doesn't have a statute of limitations on it's murder.
Well, this shows it was completed at that location prior to March 8th, 1995.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the statute of limitations is now 30 years.
I know, yeah, but it's not on the books, and they're just following the rule. They can't,
So,
it just needs to go up to the 4th floor, and it, of course.
Can
it
I
goes
illustrate
trash
my
can.
ignorance again? What is the downside of approving this? Do we set a precedent and then everybody with a
yeah,
carport in the
absolutely
city of
you
San
do.
Angelo shows up and we've got a line out the door and down the block?
So I think the downside is if you can't meet the variance criteria in the code, the 6 requirements that staff put up, then you're granting a variance that isn't allowed by the code. So if you can justify each and every one of those requirements, I have no problem with it. As far as the statute of limitations, for code enforcement, each and every day is a separate violation. So yesterday would have been a violation that they didn't meet those setback requirements. So like you said, the code back to 1995 said
Right.
if you're in violation before then, yeah. But they haven't
But if
proved
he'd
that
have
up.
built it March 7th, 1995, we wouldn't be having this discussion.
Yeah,
correct?
absolutely.
Right? I'm just,
Yeah.
like I said,
Hey,
I'm new at
that's
this,
a
so I'm
city-
learning.
That's a city council prerogative, as far as the ordinance that they
Oh,
adopted.
Lord.
I mean,
And also statute of limitations would be city council.
So I have a
Wow,
question
I
for
don't
the
know.
city staff. It mentions, one of the 6 criteria, special circumstance exists, et cetera, et cetera. How did you all, obviously I can read it, but how did you all come down on building out the mother-in-law hospital room, if you will? Is that, in your estimation, a special circumstance? Because then point 2 is the special circumstances are not the result or actions of the applicant. Ergo, it was already done before they got here. So
it
where do you all,
wasn't, yeah.
where do you all come down on specifically point 1?
So,
Since you're not the one that did all this.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
not your homework. You're just copying here, so.
so point 1 is the special circumstance. Like I said, the lot size is the size of everybody else's. There is no, the house wasn't built closer than usual, than all the other houses. There is no hill that, everything is on. There is nothing that makes this lot stand out differently than all the other lots right around that area. Because we were thinking if we did grant this, then that means all those other lots can come forward and ask for the exact same thing. And again, there is no special circumstances that stands out. They're not in the open structure overlay. They're not even near the open structure overlay. It starts behind the old HEB, where the Whataburger is and everything. So it goes north from there. So they're not even near it.
Oh, there by McGill in the park.
Correct.
Towards the loop.
Correct.
Okay.
So what you're saying is lot size and spacing, not material construction on the lot?
Correct.
Okay.
So I do have a motion on the floor that I'd like to amend. No, I just want to make sure we're still within within that time limit.
What are we through talking about? Through discussion.
So that's why I
I'll
didn't know if I
call for a
needed to
motion.
amend. Okay, so I'd like to make the motion that I'm an amend to approve the variance and accept the carport as is.
Second.
Can you add to the motion?
Have no,
Give us some cover down the road about how, the reasons it's been up so long or anything like that?
No, I think we've met
It's
6
Well,
of
we
those
don't- I
7
mean, we don't
criteria.
get to-
So, and that's what I'm saying as is.
Do we get to create a,
Yeah, for future people that come in, why did they will we let this happen? and
Well, I
the
think
other
we've
not?
stated that they've met 6 of those 7. so.
yeah, I mean,
There's only one-
that's my question, because there's basically no statute of limitations on this. It's just so tomorrow the statute of limitations is gonna be even further. And 6 months from now, it's gonna be even further down the road. So at some point, the statute of limitations is gonna be, if your carport's been up 100 years, then you can leave it where it is, right? I mean, that's, because it's on that date, not subject to how long has the carport been up? Has it been up since that date?
So
So there's
with-
basically no statute of limitations.
right, but
Can
with
we
this
create a
motion,
statute of
with this
limitations?
motion,
On this motion, we could, though, couldn't we?
We can't.
No.
Okay.
We're either
That's my
accepting or
question, is I wanna
denying
make
the
sure-
variance.
I
That's
wanna make
the
sure what
only.
I'm voting
Yeah.
on. So-
Okay, well, go ahead and say the motion again.
Okay, I'll repeat.
Sorry.
I'm making a motion to approve the variance and accept the carport as is.
There's a motion, a second.
second.
We'll call for the vote unless there's more discussion. There being none, I'm gonna call the vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0. I'm gonna move on to Old Post. Y'all are nice. I mean, yeah, you know? Yeah. I hope everything goes well.
And if you guys want to move, I live on, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, mine can't.
I lost my agenda. Division, item number 6, division report.
Speaking as the highest planner here, I'm gonna go with there is none. We do have somebody starting in June, so you may see a new face come June. So I will say that at least.
Good, 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 good. Thank you. Item number 7, Rick, you showed up. You want to say anything about any? Okay. Item number 7, next meeting agenda. The next regular meeting of the Zoning Board of Adjustments is scheduled to begin at 1:30 p.m. on Monday, June 2nd, 2025, in the East City Hall, in the City Hall East Mezzanine Meeting Room, period. Item number 8, adjournment. Motion to adjourn.
Motion made.
Second.
There's a motion second. Do we need to discuss it? All in
No.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.